Hello, Challenge 2 moms. I wanted to make a video and let you all know what books you need to be purchasing. I believe that we're going to have a book event coming up later this month at Freedom, and I wanted just to show you what you need and tell you what's optional and what I think is a good idea and what's absolutely necessary. So I've got my catalog and I'm just going to go down the list and talk about that. The first thing on here is the Parent Prep. It's Amusing Ourselves to Death, Saving Leonardo, and Humility, The Journey Towards Holiness. Those are optionals. Saving Leonardo is a great book about worldview and the arts. So if you need a good read for the summer, that might be something you want to try out. Haven't read Amusing Ourselves to Death, but I think that's pretty timely for the days we live in. The next area is logic, which is math, and I've already talked with each of you about what you're doing this month, this next year in math. So of course what's recommended is Saxon, but I know we're doing all sorts of things. Next topic, strand is grammar, and I am going to ask that everyone come to class with this book, which is Latin 2. We have finally finished the purple book, and now we moved on to the green book. If everyone would please bring this to class, because we will be going through Latin during class. We'll be talking about vocabulary for everyone, and we'll be using Latin to talk about English grammar, and we'll be reading Caesar. So we'll be going through Caesar, and there's also maps in the book that we're going to be looking at the geography that's involved there. So everyone needs to have that Latin book, whether or not you're taking Latin or not, for class participation. Next is research, which is the biology book. And this is the newer version of Apologia with the giraffe on it. This is one we'll be doing. I highly recommend that you get the student notebook, just like we did for physical science. There is the biology one that goes along with it. It also has the tests that come along with it. I didn't locate those for tonight, but we will need that, and it's a lot. So I know Julie Turner bought the thumb drive that goes along with it, and I know she said that that was a big help. So if you have any questions about that, I can refer you to Julie. I think Allison is the only one who's had a student go through this, because it's different than the other students that I've had siblings in, or siblings have gone through. So you might, Allison, if you want to give anybody your 2 cents about what you think about the biology book. I think there's probably errors in this, just like there were in physical science, so I will try to get on Apologia website and see if there's an errata to give you the information on that. So biology with the giraffe, get the student handbook or the student notebook that goes along with it. Also, if you don't already have the student lab report handbook, this is a requirement for Challenge 2. There are readings for this, and this is what they're going to use when they do lab reports. 4 lab reports required each semester. So this is what they use to learn how to do that. Next strand is reasoning. In first semester, we do traditional logic 2. And so there's 3 books. There's the little textbook. So if you've had a student do traditional logic 2 and you have the textbook, then you just need to get the consumable workbook, and you may already have the key, but there are 3 parts to that. I believe there's a video that goes along with it. I have never used the video for Memoria Press, but if you liked it for traditional logic 1 and think that's necessary, by all means do that. But 3 books for traditional logic 2. At the same time that we're doing that, we'll also be reading in class Elisma of Style. Every student needs this, and regardless of whether we're using it in class, every student needs this book, because this is a style handbook that anybody who's writing papers should have on their bookshelf, and it's also a lovely review for the ACT. So great little book. We'll be reading it out loud in class. Second semester will be Socratic Dialogues, Words Aptly Spoken, which is a CC published book. Every student will need this preferably because we read Credo and Minnow out of this, and it's a lot easier if everyone has this book and we're reading it out loud in class. It also has the discussion questions in it, so that's a good one. For debate, Words Aptly Spoken, British Literature, always a good idea. I don't know how many people actually use these, but I think they're great. They're especially helpful for second semester when students are leading the discussion and they may need help with discussion questions. I will tell you, once you're in, pay the enrollment fee, which is the $99 if you pay it out of your debit, or $103 enrollment fee, and you get on CC Connected, this is available digitally. So that's, the Socratic Dialogues is too. I'm just not sure how helpful it is to have it a digital copy. I guess we'll find out since this is all new. But again, this is really helpful for students when they're coming up with their discussion questions. For debate, that's our art history and music history and Francis Schaeffer and the most fun. Marvelous to Behold. This is available in a digital. I'm not sure again how useful that is because this is the one that has our beautiful pictures in it that we'll be writing, studying and learning to identify, these things. So Marvelous to Behold. I feel like they need this in their hands to look at. This is the hard copy of How Should We Then Live. It goes along. It's the companion piece to the videos. I have the videos. We will watch those in class. The videos are also available on YouTube, and I believe Right Now Video Media, but I know they're on YouTube. This is not a bad idea. If you have it, I've taught this class enough times, or tutored, whatever you want to call it, that if they're not doing these extra readings, they're just not getting as much out of the art history and music history as they could. So I am going to provide a reading guide, but I think this is a good idea. If you are crunched and you need to cut something, I understand that you cut this because it is the written part of the videos, but not a bad idea. State of the Arts, Gift of Music, Classical Music for Dummies. Please have these and make your kids read them. Try to make sure that's all of them. Yes, that's them. These are all highlighted in the list that's in your catalog. So these are your basic references for doing your papers about the artists and composers. So CC says that this is enough to write a paper about, or they used to, about the composers and artists. I'm not convinced that it truly is. However, I'm not convinced that the internet is the best way for students to research artists and composers. We are talking about the arts, and once we start doing an internet search on the arts, that can get dicey. So we can talk about that further in our meeting together. But if you have some art history books available to you, that might be a good thing to collect. Some of the things that you might have had collecting during foundations when we were doing Great Artist. That brings us to exposition, which is literature, which is all the wonderful British literature books. And this is the copy of Beowulf that CC sells in its bookstore. I'm going to look at another translation and I will get back with you. So you may or may not want to purchase this yet. I'll try to do this quickly, but there's a Seamus Meany, somebody has another translation that I'm hearing good things about. I want our guys to like Beowulf, and Allison too, but I want them to read this. Canterbury Tales, we only read The Knight's Tale. So if you have any concerns about the Body Ribbled stories in this book. Your kids will probably never know because we only assign the one out of that. They do read like the introduction, but then we just read The Knight's Tale, which is relatively tame. And then Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and I haven't located my copy again. Paradise Lost, we only read some portions out of that. So if you want to use a digital copy of that, I'm not opposed to that. I think part of it used to be in the Challenge B, Words Aptly Spoken. So if you still have that, you may have enough for that. But that's one that you could definitely use a digital copy. Then Pilgrim's Progress, it's not sitting here. Robinson Crusoe, we're not going to read Gulliver's Travels. We're going to do A Modest Proposal. The satire is so striking that they get it. It's shorter. It gives them a little break after having some real intense reading. And dense reading because they're reading that Beowulf and Canterbury Tales and some things that are in Old English. So I like to not do Gulliver's Travels. There's the satire in Gulliver's Travels is really, really hard for modern readers to get because they don't know the context. And I think we don't have enough time to do enough history so that they understand what's going on with Gulliver's Travels. That A Modest Proposal, they can do some historical research because the Modest Proposal. So we'll have that as a PDF, so they won't need to have a copy of that. Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre, Tale of Two Cities. Then we go to Alice, Adventures in Wonderland, Father Brown stories, A Passage to India. There's no paper on that. The Hobbit, Al the Silent Planet, The Screwtape Letters, Animal Farm, and Something Beautiful for God. A lot of reading, but first semester is a lot heavier, denser reading than second semester. So you may want to give your kids the books this summer, and this is what I would focus on. A Tale of Two Cities, because it's at a busy time, and it's a little bit longer. Pilgrim's Progress is another one that's at a pretty busy time. So if they could get those read or listened to or something that helped them get the gist of those stories. Again, Paradise Lost, it wouldn't hurt to read through that. They could do that in an afternoon or two just to get the idea. Pick either Jane Eyre or Pride and Prejudice because those come back to back, and it takes a little bit of work to get used to the language. Once you kind of understand how they are writing and how they're speaking, that goes a little bit better. And then Robinson Crusoe can take a little extra time too. So if you're trying to get some kids to read this summer, those are the ones that I would focus on. Second semester, they're a little bit more modern. They're not as hard reading. They're C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, so we're usually happy to read those. Animal Farm, they usually dig right into that because it's a quick, easy read and they can get the analogies pretty easily. So those are the books. Those are the recommendations I have. If you have a question, shoot me a text or an email or give me a call, and I'd be glad to talk to you about any questions there. There is that publication called Wakeful Words, which I'm going to try to work harder incorporating that into class discussion, but that one kind of revisits the analogies book they did in Challenge A and helps them with literary devices, because we do focus on literary devices in Challenge 2, and those will be assigned each week with their reading to define those. And so Wakeful Words helps show you where those are in the actual pieces of literature, and that is available on the digital list in CC Connected. So thanks for your time. Holler at me if you have any questions. Thanks.